right? People keep coming in, no, they are not on time. Right. So it is very important to understand how laboratory is set up, because as a tissue culturist, you must be able to plan for a lab setup. Okay, this setup means you must know how to draw the layout of the lab, and you must know how to position the machines, how to position the facility, and also you also need to know the functions of the lab. Okay, that's very, very crucial. So when you start up a lab, you probably will ask how to start it. So for example, what are the environments that you're going to create? Okay, and where is the locations? How about the gases? What are the gases that I need to be to supply to the lab? And how about the ventilations as well? Okay, and what are the basic tissue culture requirements? And also the ideal layout of the lab. Okay, these probably are the questions that you probably need to think about when you try to kickstart a tissue culture lab. All right. So setting up a cell tissue culture lab, you need a space requirement. Okay, so it is exclusive functions to reduce the potential contamination. So you need to bear in mind that the ultimate goal to set up the tissue culture lab is to make sure that the tissue that you culture will not be contaminated. That is the ultimate goal. And the room to be kept under positive pressure with high efficiency particulate air filter, okay, which is the HEPA filter. Right, so it is a must, okay, to be installed in the tissue culture lab. Floor should be smooth and untextured, because the texture floor will trap the dust, and this dust could be a key factor for the contaminations. And the solid ceiling should also be constructed. But surprisingly, when you come to Unimas later, you'll see that the ceiling actually is not solid and is open and is naked. Yeah, so it is very crucial to make sure that the solid ceiling is constructed for the tissue culture lab. And also the plumbing and all other bulkhead fittings and hardware should well be sealed. Seal is because you want to reduce the dust to be trapped in this area. Right, now we're looking at the design and also the layout of the laboratory. Right, this is the basic, okay, this is the basic or suggested floor plan for the setting up a tissue culture area in a research laboratory. So in this layout, what machine that you need first is the laminar flow hood. That is the essential equipment that you must have in the tissue culture lab. Why? Because this is the area for you to do passaging or do subculturing, okay, or transfer the cells. This is the area, the laminar flow hood. We're going to talk about what is laminar flow hood later. And next to the laminar flow hood should be the incubator, because you do not want the far distance between the laminar flow hood and incubator. Because the further the distance between the laminar flow hood and incubator, so the higher the chances for your culture to be contaminated. So ideally, place your incubator next to the laminar flow hood. At the same time, you should have the microscope, okay? Microscope for you to observe the phenotype of your culture, and for you to do some cell countings as well. And you should also have the sterile cabinet to keep all the sterile plasticware and also the glassware. And don't forget that you should have also the 4 degrees Celsius fridge and also -20 freezer. Okay, both of these is very, very important as well. Okay, like -20 is to keep your protein, to keep the enzyme, okay, and other chemicals. And for 4 degrees Celsius is to keep your culture media. All right, and you should also have the overhead cabinets here and also the sink for you to do some washing. All right. And this also overhead compartment, and also this could be the preparation areas as well, right? So this is a very basic floor plan for setting up a basic tissue culture lab. Is that clear?
Clear, doctor.
Clear, doctor.
Clear. Okay, good. So move to the next one. Okay, this is a more advanced layout for a tissue culture lab. This is a suggested floor plan for an ideal high-use tissue culture lab, tissue culture facility, or a core facility that are shared by a number of laboratories. As you can see, we have a stack incubator just next to the laminar flow hood. So we have 6 laminar flow hood here, and we have a stack of the incubator which is just next to it. So always remember that the incubator should be next to the laminar flow hood. That's very important. And you also have the microscope room for some analysis or data analysis, and you should have the instruments rooms as well. And you should also have the sink next to it, which is easier for you to do some washing up. And you also will notice that we have the preparation area. This is the preparation room that will well equipped with the glassware, the plasticware, and also a sink for you to do washing up, because you are doing the preparation here. You prepare the media here, you prepare all the other things here, right? Yeah, this is the preparation area. And you also have the sterilizing ovens and also the drying oven to dry your glassware, okay, and also the plasticware. And in a very isolated corner, you have the autoclave machines placed next at the isolated corner. It is very important to place it at the isolated corner, because autoclave machine can be very dangerous as well, because it can explode. So you need to handle the machine very well. Should you not understand on how to handle the machine, you should always seek for assistance from the lab assistant, and that will help you to do the autoclaving, right? So never ever change any setting for the autoclave machine, right? So there is always a instructions next to it clearly, and also the contact person that you can contact if you need to use this facility. And all bear in mind that you have a very thick wall that separates the machine with other facilities as well. You should also have at the end, LN2 is a liquid nitrogen storage here for you to use, okay? Because in tissue culture, sometimes you use you need nitrogen gas, okay, liquid nitrogens, okay? And you also have this -20 and the 4 degrees Celsius fridge and freezer for you to keep your chemicals and also your other, for example, the enzyme. And you should also have the bench and also the cabinets over here. And you also have the sterile tissue supply cabinet here to separate your supply with other chemicals and also equipments, right? So this is the more advanced high-use tissue culture facility shared by a few labs, all right? Can you see the difference between the basic tissue culture lab and also a high-use tissue culture lab?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Will you be able to draw the layout if I ask you to do so?
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of. So it is very important, because this layout is very important. Yeah. And if you are hired by a company and they ask you to set up the lab, you can always use this design. Yeah. This design is this will be a reference for you, okay, when you design your own lab. Okay, and we have students that successfully set up the lab by referring to this layout. Okay, we have a few successful examples from your senior who set up the lab for the private company. Okay, and there might be some difference between a plant tissue culture lab and also animal tissue culture labs. And I believe Dr. Hall will share with you how a plant tissue culture layout should be look like. Okay. Now, an animal tissue culture lab should accommodate at least 6 functions. First is the sterile handling, the incubation, the preparation, the washing up, the sterilization, and storage. This is the at least 6 functions that a tissue culture lab should accommodate, right? So For the basic facility, you should have a general washing area, as I mentioned just now, a media preparation area, sterilizations and storage area, and you should have an aseptic transfer area, which is your laminar flow hood, the environmentally controlled incubators or the tissue culture room, and an observation or data collection area, which is your microscope room. Now, look at the washing up area. So the wash up area should have a space for sucking glassware or automated washing machine. In some luxurious labs, they have the automated washing machine, especially in the temperate country, because they have winter, and during winter you don't want to touch the water because it's icy cold. So in Malaysia, we forever will have a spring and summer, so touching the water is not a problem. So most of the lab they don't have the the automated washing machine unless they are luxurious enough to have the machine. All right, so they also have the bench page for handling the basket of the glassware and sorting pipettes and also sealing, right? And it should also contain a large sink and some lines to resist acid and also the alkalis, and also the draining board and also the rack that have access to demineralized water, distilled water, and double distilled water. Never ever use the tap water to dissolve your chemical, yeah? And also the space for drying the ovens on the rack, or automated the dishwasher, the acid bath, the pipette washer, and also the dryer, and also the storage cabinets that should also be available in the washing area. So in the media preparation area, so you need an ample storage space for the chemicals, the culture vessel, and also the closures, and also the glassware required for media preparations and dispensing. So in the preparations culture media, the analytical grade chemicals should be used and good weighing habits should practice. Yeah, we have the weighing machines that up to 2 decimal point and 4 decimal point, and of course the 4 decimal point is more accurate compared to the 2 decimal point. And the water used in preparation media must be of the utmost purity and highest quantity, the quality, because the quality of the water will be one of the key factor whether your culture is successful or otherwise, right? In the preparation area, also the tap water is not suitable because they may contain cations, which includes the ammonia, the calcium, the ions, the magnesium, and sodium, and etc. And it also contains the anions that includes the bicarbonates, the chlorides, the fluorides, the phosphate, and probably they also contain microorganisms such as algae, the fungi, and bacteria, and also the gases such as oxygen, the carbon dioxide, the nitrogens, and probably the particulates such as the oils and organic metals, and etc. So bear in mind that never ever use tap water to prepare your media. And the bench patch of the hot plate and sterile, or the pH meter, the balancers and water bath, and also media dispensing equipment should also be available. And never ever use your hand to dissolve or your finger to dissolve your chemicals. Always use the stirrer. We have the magnetic stirrer that help you to dissolve the chemicals. Okay. Other necessary equipment may include the air and vacuum sources, the distill and double distill water, the Bunsen burner with a gas sources, and also the refrigerator and freezer for storing the stock of the solutions and chemicals. And also you should have a microwave or the convection oven and autoclave or domestic pressure cooker for sterilizing the media, the glassware, and also the instrument, right? And in the transfer area, this is the most desirable arrangement. There's a small dust-free rooms equipped with an overhead ultraviolet light and a positive pressure the ventilation unit. And this ventilation should be equipped with the high efficiency particulate air filter, which is a HEPA filter. And also the element flow hood or the storage transfer room must be sterile for making transfer. Yeah, always remember that. Okay, the laminar flow hood should be sterile. Okay, and within the transfer area, there should be a source of electricity, the gas, the compressed air, and also the vacuum. So all surfaces in the room should be designed and also constructed in such manner that the dust and also the microbes or the microorganisms do not accumulate, and the surfaces can be thoroughly cleaned and also disinfected. So the room such design is particularly useful if large numbers of culture are being manipulated or the large pieces of the equipment are used, right? So far, okay, can you follow me?
Clear,
Okay.
Doctor.
Yes,
Okay.
Doctor.
Okay, good. So for the culture room, so all types of tissue culture should be incubated under the conditions of the well-controlled temperature, the humidity, the air circulation, and light quality, and also the durations. So this is very, very important, especially these parameters. You have to make sure that, okay, you have to make sure that they are consistent, okay, and you can control it well, okay. And for sterile handling area, it should be located in a quiet part of the laboratory. Okay, it should be restricted to tissue culture and no tourist traffic or other disturbance that is likely to cause dust or draft. And also the work area in this simplest form should be in plastic laminate top bench and preferably plants in white and neutral gray color, which facilitates the observations of the culture and also the dissection. So if you come to UNIMAS later, you'll observe that almost all our tables is neutral gray. Okay, this is the standard that you should have that to facilitate the observations of the culture and dissection. For the incubations, a freshly prepared culture are grown under careful regulated environmental conditions, such as the temperature, the light, and the humidity. So this is accomplished with an incubator growth chamber and the controlled environment room. And if cell suspension are cultured, so some types of shaker and aeration equipments are necessary. So if you culture your cell on the solid media, then you do not need the aerations. You don't need the shaker. But if you culture the suspension cell, okay, you need the shaker and the aeration equipment to make sure that the nutrients and also the gases are evenly distributed to the cells in that culture. So this is an example of the single platform shaker and orbital incubator shaker. For the single platform shaker, you can see that you cannot control the temperature, but you can control the movements of the shaker. Yeah. But for the orbital incubator shaker, you can not only can control the shaker, you also can control the temperature. And of course, the orbital incubator shaker will be more expensive compared to the single platform shaker. Right. The cleanliness is not as stringent as for the sterile handling in the incubation. In the incubator, so but they need a clean air and a low disturbance level, a minimal traffic to avoid dust, spores, and also the drafts from the carry them. And also the incubation may carry out in separate incubations or in a thermostatic control hot room. So for hot room, actually you can construct your own if you don't have one. Yeah, you just need a heater. The heat is best supplied via the fan heater. You need a fan heater so that the heat can be distributed evenly in the hot room. So every single corner will have the constant heat at the similar temperature. And also you have the air circulations and also the thermostat. Okay, this is a hot room. You can actually construct it by your own if you don't have one. Okay, this is the example of the hot room that you have the thermostat sensor in the fan, and also the fan heater that generate the heat, and also the insulated door with the automatic closure, okay, so that the heat will not escape from the hot room, so that the temperature in the hot room can be kept consistent. So for the preparations area, so the preparation area should be large enough to accommodate a coarse and also fine balance. You should have these two, and also a pH meter, so if possible, also an osmometer, so that you can check the osmolarity of your solvents and also your media. All right. So make sure that before you use the pH meter, you need to calibrate them, right? And also you need a hot plate and magnetic stirrer to dissolve your inorganic reagent. Okay. So this is the example of the pH meter and also the meter to check your osmolarity of the media. For the sterilizations, example is the autoclave and also the pressure cooker. You can use pressure cooker to autoclave, to sterile your equipment, okay? And also electric stove, you need that, okay? If you have if you use the pressure cooker. This is the example of the autoclave machine. Always bear in mind that if you do not know how to handle this machine, look for assistance from the lab assistant. I never ever handle by yourself because you never know. Because this is a high pressure, they can explode if you do not know how to handle them properly. For the storage, you need sterile liquids at the room. You need to, the sterile liquid should be placed at room temperature, such as your salt solutions and also the water. For your media, you can place it at still 4 degrees Celsius. But for serum and also the enzyme, you need to store them at -20 or -70, or they may be inactivated if you put it at room temperature or 4 degrees Celsius. So always remember that. For the storage, the apparatus such as the filter, the screw cap, the stopper, glove, and disposable bag need to be stored properly in the storage. And the liquid nitrogen, for example, in the storage level, that's common at 100 to 150 liters, or you must put it on the trolley if they are stored at 500 to 1,000 liters, or permanently sized in the room, adequate ventilation, and also the outdoor in a rescue weatherproof housing. So if you, in UNIMAS, if you need the liquid nitrogen, please always ask for the assistance from the lab assistant. Okay, they can help you to get the amount of the liquid nitrogen that you need, right? For the storage, you also should equip with the liquid ambience, which is from 4 to 20 degrees Celsius. And also you should have the glassware shelving, the plastic shelvings as well, small item drawers and specialized equipment cupboard, and also the chemical seal container, especially if it's involved with the flammable chemicals. Those flammable chemicals must be stored in the chemical seal container, okay? Or it may cut fire. So you need to bear in mind this. For the other gases, the toxic, the chemical that may generate the toxic gases, you need to put it in the fume hood, all right? And if they are light sensitive, you should put it in the brown water or wrap it with the aluminum foil, okay? These are the example of the plasticware and glassware. For the conning culture dishes, these are available for variety and size, and for this is very suitable for anchorage dependent cell. Okay, remember what is anchorage dependent cell? Still remember?
No.
No. Thank you for your honesty. All right, anchorage dependent cell that they need to matrix to attach to. Yeah, they are basically growing in the solid media or semi-solid media, because the encourage dependent, that means they need a matrix, need something to attach to. Okay, for conning flux are used also for encourage dependent cell, the second in the middle panel. And for conning spinner vessel, they are used for growing encourage independent cell, because this is in the suspension. So the cell do not need any place to attach to. Okay, so you must know what are the cells that are encouraged independent, what are the cells that are encouraged dependence. Okay, like our blood cell, is it encouraged dependent or encouraged independent?
Encourage independent.
Encourage independent.
Yeah, encourage independent, right? Because they do not need any matrix to attach to. How about our master cell?
Dependent.
Dependent.
Okay, is encouraged dependent, yeah? Right, very good. For the conning transfer permeable supports are also used to study the cell transport and also migration. There are many functions of this equipment, yeah? So substitution and microcarrier culture can be grown in the glass, another plastic spinner, you see. So this for this type is suitable for tissue culture in the suspension. And you also have the 24 plates or 48 plates that are very suitable for the toxicity testing, also the drug transport study, okay, for this one, right, in a very small vessel. And the plastic way and glass way, for this one, the roller bottles are widely used for producing the viral vaccine. And the bioreactor system, the ideal for the mass productions of the encouraged dependent cell. And also the Corning microplates, they are widely used for the drug screening. And for the Corning eliminase flux, that are often good for growing insect cells or suspension. Not only insect cell, you can grow other cells, which is encouraged independent. Okay. So these are the equipment that you may find in the tissue culture lab, like this is the flux that's used for the growing the cell in the solid media or the semi-solid media. And you have the incubator here, and you have the pipette gun. This is a pipette gun that's help you to aspirate the water or the solutions. Never use your mouth to aspirate the solutions, or you may use the pipette bubble, okay, ball that help you to aspirate your liquid. For the essential equipment, this is the essential equipment. Why we call it essential? Because the work cannot be done without the essential equipment. For example, in this case, it is a laminar flow hood. Okay, so laminar flow hood is the simplest way to provide the aseptic condition. Because in this, for a good unit of the laminar flow hood, they should be equipped with the UV light, and UV light can be used as a method to sterilize your laminar flow hood. All right. So sterile air blow in sterile air will blow onto the work surface to make sure that your culture will not be contaminated. Yeah. So the mechanism of the laminar flow is that the room is taken into the unit and passed through the pre-filter to remove the gross contaminants like limbs and also the dust. And also the air is then compressed and channeled out behind and through the HEPA filter. Okay. And the HEPA filter then removes nearly all the bacteria from the air. And we have what is a major advantage? Of course, the working environment is protected from dust and also the contaminations by the constant and stable flow of the filter air passing over the work surface. Okay, work surface. But of course, you have some limitations as well, which is the poor. If your technique is poor, then it is easy to overcome the establishment of airflow velocity and introduce the reverse current that can reintroduce the contaminants into the work area. Okay, and the laminar should also maintain for 24 hours a day. So if it suddenly turns off for any reason, then it should be on for at least 30 minutes before you use it, and you should thoroughly clean before reusing it. Okay. So there are two types actually, two types of laminar flow hood. One is the horizontal laminar flow hood. The other type is a vertical laminar flow hood. For horizontal laminar flow hood, the air blow from the side facing the user and parallel to the work surface, but it is not circulated. So it's, of course, it gives more stable airflow. It's cheaper and provide the best soil protection for the culture. However, only for preparation media and soil agent. Okay, for this one, yeah. But it's not really good for the user because the air is actually directly blow towards the surface of the direction to the workers. Okay, and it's only have one HEPA filter here. So if something is wrong or the HEPA filters is normal or is normal effective, or maybe there is a leakage in the HEPA filter, so they will be introduced the contaminant directly to the workers. So this is not really safe, okay, for the workers. So there are some risks for this horizontal filter. For the vertical laminar flow hood, the air blow down from the top of the hood onto the work surface, and then it's drawn through the surface, either circulated or vented. So you can see the vertical laminar flow hood actually is circulated, but the horizontal laminar flow hood is not. Okay, and that's why this one, the vertical laminar flow hood, they actually give more protections to the user, and of course the price is slightly higher. So if you look at this, you can see that we have two HEPA filter. Okay. So this is the ventilated. Okay, it's circulated. Okay, so when there's two HEPA filter here. One is when the A is blow outside from the exhaust, they're also being filtered by the HEPA filter. And before they being blown towards the working area, there's another HEPA filter. So you can see the A is not directly to the user, but it's going down here. So actually, this is more safe compared to the provide more safety to the user compared to the horizontal laminar flow hood, right? So these are the beneficial equipments. For example, the cell counter is to quantitate the growth of the kinetics of the cells, and the dissecting microscope is important to do the micro examinations of culture for dissections of the small pieces of the tissue, and of course, useful for counting and picking the colony on the agar, right? So this is a beneficial, useful equipment such as the inverted first contrast microscope and also the dishwasher, right? So how about the maintaining of the facility? It is very important, yeah, to maintain the facility so that the facility is always clean and tidy, and of course, to reduce the contaminations. So there will be a daily task. I'm not going to talk in detail. I think this is a very general knowledge for you. When you read, you can understand. So what are the daily tasks that you need to do, you perform? If you are being hired as a lab manager, probably you also, this is a weekly task that you need to perform, and also the monthly task, right? So this is a very basic general knowledge that once you read, you can understand. So I'm not going to talk about that, right? So I think for this sections, that's all for the training. Right? Any question for this?
Also, I have a question.
Yeah.
How does the spinner vessels work?
Where is that?
How does the spinner vessels work?
Okay, there is a stereo inside it. Okay, there is a, hang on. This one?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, there is a stereo. You see the white thing? There's a stereo. This is a stereo. You can see this is a machine that to move this. So it will stir. It will stir the culture so that because this is for the suspension culture. So the culture will be stirred, and then the nutrients and so the gases will be evenly distributed to the cells.
Okay, thanks, doctor.
Okay. Any more question? If no, we move to the next part.
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. No, then we move to the next part. Yeah.